Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Good morning and welcome to 2026 and season 4, if you can believe it, of Iconic Freedom, the Formula. We are setting a standard for accountability and responsibility, the ownership of your choices and the accountability, the ownership of all the outcomes that follow with all of that. Let each care for self and all will be cared for. So for this opening of this season, I want to talk about embodiment. Self-development doesn't happen in a moment, of course. It happens like you saw in that opening from that soap opera, The Days of Our Lives. It happens one grain at a time. One decision, one choice, one response. Most people look for transformation and they miss the quiet accumulation that actually creates it, that moment by moment, step by step. This particular season 4, this isn't about changing your life overnight because that's not how nature works. It's about placing one grain deliberately and then letting the aggregate tell the reality. So welcome to season 4, Embodiment. Let's get started. So in many ways, there's nothing new I need to teach or to talk about in that sense. If you were seeing this as, lessons from a podcast, if you've been here through the past seasons, you already know the language. Decision and choice, responsibility, accountability. You understand the mechanics. You understand that periodic chart, not just in your own personal development, but how life, does occur for you, that as you choose elements in your life, when you choose the correct elements for you, you'll notice the beauty of how things unfold. And when you don't, it feels clunky and, it's tough and it's not easy. And that's how you know. That's how you know you're matching the formula that's right for you. At some point, if you're honest with yourself, continuing to talk about them starts to feel like movement when it's actually delay. Insight can be comfort. Language can become cover. Eventually, the question stops being, do I understand this? And becomes, am I living it? Quietly, consistently, without explanation? Have I integrated these qualities of decision, choice, responsibility, accountability? And that's where this season will begin. Embodiment, I would say, is not a performance, and it's not discipline theater type of thing. It isn't about being right. Self-righteousness, I think, is a cancer that develops in people. But embodiment is about the integration. When your choices no longer need a narration, and when you move to a point at some point in your journey where the decision and the choice, the body just is doing, and you're along for the ride because you trust in self that, you're not going to make a choice that's going to hurt you, and that you trust the body that the body is not going to do that either. And what I think is interesting is when responsibility doesn't feel heavy because you're no longer fighting reality, and when accountability stops feeling like judgment, like you're judging yourself, and it starts communicating like information. It's not punishment, it's not praise, it's just feedback. Choices, outcomes, feedback, it's just information. That shift doesn't happen through more thinking. It happens through seeing, through observation. You cannot think your way out of your life. You can make choice, and you can understand, oh, I'm gonna noodle this. But the reality will be is that if you have not integrated these qualities in you, then you're going to have to start from that point. And then you'll be able to move to a point where then your body just is providing you information for which you are now consciously aware of, and you take action. So this season, I'm going to continue returning to these same quiet questions every week. What did you observe this past week? Where did you notice a distortion or people stepping out of reality? What did reality actually show you? What were you able to observe? Because reality is always available. Most people just aren't present to it. As and as you're observing, you might notice something quietly revealing itself. How many people did it take for your week to function? Not to feel good, not to go your way, but to function. And who had to show up in a certain way? Who had to respond on time? Who had to cooperate for you to stay steady? And I'm saying to you, don't answer that yet. Just notice what comes into view. Each week, I will walk through the same structure, not as homework and not as a challenge, just as a way of staying grounded in the reality. And if you choose to do this alongside of me, there's only one rule, one thing. Not your whole life, not every pattern you've ever noticed, just one thing each week. Again, not your whole life, not every pattern you've ever noticed, one moment from the past week that stayed with you, and you walk it cleanly through the formula. What happened? No adjectives, no intention, no story, just observable reality. Where did emotion try to take over? Did you know it was taking over? What story wanted to be told in your head? Where did you notice yourself leaving reality? And this is where most people, I think, disappear. What was actually true? Not what it meant or, not what it said about you, just what was. Reality doesn't argue. It doesn't justify, it simply exists. You observe it. What did you decide? Not what you rehearsed, not what you felt pressured into. What did you decide? What action followed? Or what action you intentionally did not take? Because that was one of the episodes before, is that you're responsible for what you do and what you don't do, and both count. So, and then how did you respond? I mean, are you aware? Where did you exercise the capacity instead of reaction? Where did you refrain from saying something? And responsibility, again, it's not about blame. It's about ability to respond. And then from the decision to the choice, the ability to respond, what outcome followed? Not as a judgment, but just as information. What did it reveal about you at this point? What about your standards, your alignment? No shame, no celebration, just clarity. And when you look back at your life, you're not seeing individual moments, you're seeing the aggregate of grains as you placed over time. No grain might feel significant on its own, but none of them, I think, are wasted. And believe me, you cannot cheat the process. I've been doing this now for almost 3 decades, and I have found I cannot cheat the process. So this season is not going to be asking you to agree with me. I'm not even asking you to change. It's asking you just to look, to observe. Because when you see clearly, choice becomes obvious. When your choice is clear, responsibility isn't heavy. It's just a natural thing you'll do. And responsibility, when it is owned, accountability stops being threatening. And you know what? That's the formula. Not as theory, but as a lived experience. If something from your week came to mind while listening, don't chase it. Just write it down. One moment, one grain, one pass through the formula. No fixing, no explaining, no seeing. This season isn't about becoming someone new. It's about standing fully in who you already are. And at the end of your year, together, we can look back and see all the progress that we've made. And not that we're new, but we've become more refined. We've let go of that which we do not need any longer, and we have embraced and taken on that which we wish to bring quality to. Okay, so with all of that, hit that like button if you would. Share with your family and friends. You never know how it might support them in their endeavor. All the fun links are below, and if you're inclined, feel free to subscribe on Buzzsprout. I am on X and Truth Social, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and as always, remember that each cares for self and all will be cared for. Make it a great week.